Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your love reading because, it's your birthday season. So this is the thing that I'm doing now. So let's go ahead and jump right in with an overall energy. And then we're going to be looking at the energy between you and your person. First card that we have is Wall. It says misunderstanding. Then we have Spear, heartache over what you no longer have. And then we have happiness. Okay, that's an interesting turnaround there. So what it's kind of looking like for me, Gemini, is more or less with whoever it is that you guys are, seeing, dating, dealing with. There could have been some sort of miscommunication as far as behavior, or maybe like a text that was read wrong, or maybe you guys had a bit of an argument, and it's more or less Gemini is coming into this time frame thinking or feeling as if the situation between you and your person of interest is like over, you know what I mean? That there's kind of like, I don't want to go as far as saying that there's like, well, I do want to say that. If I'm hearing it, I should just say it, but it's more or less like feeling as if like you've lost hope in the situation. But the thing that I'm feeling pretty heavily is literally, it's like a miscommunication, misunderstanding, or things maybe you went through in the past in relationships, or things your person may have gone through in the past in relationships. And it's more or less in this conversation or text exchange or what have you, it's more or less the wires being crossed as far as how it is that the two of you are seeing each other, judging the other's behavior or words. But I do more or less feel that there is that level of disappointment where you're feeling like it's over. But because we have happiness, I think that there's going to be a turnaround. Okay. There's going to be a turnaround in this situation during this particular time frame of your birthday month. So a bunch of cards fell out. First, I'm going to be looking at you guys' energy and then your person's. But I mean, since all these cards then came out, y'all, I think, yep, I'm just going to need one more card. So first card out that we have for you, Gemini, we have the Seven of Pentacles. And I think I'm going to take it from the bottom of the deck for the last card for your person. But we have the Seven of Pentacles, we have the Knight of Chalices in the reverse, and then we have the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. So here is the dealio. In this particular deck, when I see the Seven of Pentacles, I always see that as like a karmic-y kind of card, a soul tie kind of card. So I feel more or less with this person, you guys, were working towards this, or desiring to work towards this, to be something that was fulfilling and ultimately leads to your 10 of Pentacles. So you're very enthralled, very into this person. But with this whole little misunderstanding thing that happened, and I get a kind of vibe with this, with the Knight of Cups in the reverse, this is just what I'm picking up intuitively. If I were to go off what it is that I'm seeing in the overall energy, this would be where this whole misunderstanding thing kind of comes in and how you guys are responding to it. But then something else that I'm kind of feeling on the back end with this is like, because this person didn't make some sort of gesture toward you. And let me try to make sense of how it is that I'm picking up this energy. Because the person didn't make a gesture towards you, so this could be something like, and I'm just going to throw something random out here, like, okay, say your little sister is graduating from high school, right? And you asked them to come to your little sister's graduation, and they were like, oh, I gotta work that day, so I can't make it, type of deal. And I feel with this would be something where this relationship doesn't feel too old, not saying that y'all just met yesterday or anything, but it doesn't really feel too much like you've been together for like a year or anything like that. But it's like, you ask the person to go to your little sister's graduation, they're like, oh, I have to work, I can't make it. And it's kind of interpreting that as like, oh, they're not interested, because it's like, this is my little sister. Why would you not go to my little sister's high school graduation? You know, and for those of you where, you know, y'all have been together maybe 3 months or like 6 months or something like that, it's like kind of from, you know, your standards or, you know, your culture, your expectations, what have you, that could be where this misunderstanding came in, because it's something that you expected this person to do, or something you feel as if they should have volunteered to do and they didn't do it. So it's kind of interpreting it as, you know, this person really doesn't like me, or they really don't take me seriously. It's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with that. Now, on the other side of this, I feel this is kind of like self-loathing, if you will, which leads us into this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. And I feel this is more or less like bad past behaviors you guys have come out of. Another vibe I would get with this would be like a sense of like dependency. But the main energy I'm feeling between these two of where this ends up becoming like, you know, a lesson for you to take forward in your life is, because it's so weird how my guides are showing it to me. It's like, it's almost like, I don't even know what the hell that is, because y'all, the way that my clairvoyance is set up. It looks like ground, and it's almost like it's breaking and something is coming to the surface. So, I mean, if I were to just think about context clues, what that looks closest to, it's almost like a plant breaking out or something like that. But it's more or less something that's coming to the surface about how you tend to handle things. So it's kind of like when stuff doesn't work out, well, I can't even say when things don't work out. If there's literally a misunderstanding in a partnership with someone, like how a lot of connections end up going kind of left or south with whatever Gemini would resonate with this, is there can be a misunderstanding, and the misunderstanding comes from a prior held expectation, right? Because looking at the Seven of Pentacles coming into this, it's more or less Gemini coming into this partnership and you guys knowing what it is that you want in a partner, which is not a bad thing, right? But with what you're wanting from a partner, it's kind of having expectations of how things are supposed to go or how a person is supposed to behave. And it's almost like a sense of validation that you guys get from a person behaving this particular way. So it's kind of like that's your definition of love, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that that's a terrible thing, right? But when it comes to pairing with other people, we have to compromise in a sense, because we have to understand that we may speak two different love languages, and what's validating for us may not be validating for the other person. But if we never communicate that, right? Because that's where a misunderstanding would come in. If we were to literally speak love languages, if Gemini is, you know, like a quality time person, right? And your person is like a words of affirmation person, then they may be telling you a whole bunch of nice stuff. And you're like, okay, but I want to spend time with you type of thing. So it's not necessarily saying that this person is horrible and terrible. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they didn't do the quality time and go to the proverbial graduation. It's just the fact that they missed a cue, you missed a cue, therefore there's a misunderstanding. But how it's being shown to me is that there's more or less kind of like a pattern of stuff like this having happened prior to, because it's like a thought of what one, and I mean, and this is something all human beings are, you know, guilty of. It's like what your expectations are for a partner, we create that before we ever meet someone. So it's kind of like if a person loves you, they're going to do X, Y, Z. And when we meet a real human and they don't do X, Y, Z, we can go to a place of assuming, oh, you know, they really don't care about me, right? But the other side of this that I see is there being like this dependency kind of element to where it's like a need for validation, a need for attention, or, you know, gestures being made and things of the sort. And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, to each its own, you know what I'm saying? But it's just the whole thing that I feel that's kind of like the root of disappointment. And the what is it? How can I say it? It's more or less recognizing this in yourself as something that would help you, and I feel would help you, whether it's with this person or it's with another person. You know what I mean? Because with this this Knight of Cups in the reverse, it's I just gotta say it. Gemini, don't be mad. I'm a Gemini rising. I'm also a Gemini Venus. So don't be upset with me, because I'm not saying this to, you know, make you feel away or anything, but it's more or less like it's unrealistic expectations. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I really were to play it out, this is something I've talked about therapeutically before. It's like sometimes when, you know, women are wanting to be with a partner, especially with the Seven of Pentacles, it could literally be a mold that you have in your head, but it's not based on a real person. It's based on a combination of different people, or maybe what you saw in a movie or what you saw in another person's relationship, but meaning in like a superficial sense. So it's not rooted in reality. So if a person doesn't fit that mold, it's misunderstanding that it's not, the person is necessarily a shit person. And mind you, as I'm saying all of this, I'm just like cross-eyed and channeling. So I haven't even looked at the other person's cards yet, but it's not even relevant. It's like the thing that's important with this is what it is I'm seeing for you guys. And there's a level of kind of like a Seven of Cups, you know, fanciful idea of romantic relationships and a level of dependence on that. And that's something that needs to come to the fore and that needs to be addressed to help you overall. Like I said, whether it's with this person or it's with, you know, someone else. Because if I were to say what the energy signature is like, it's almost like wanting a person to, you know, knight in shining armor, sweep you off of your feet, like chase after you. And if you're like, I don't want to talk, he's like, please talk to me, I love you. He's out in the rain, you know, standing at your bedroom window playing a guitar. You know, it's kind of like a very rom-com kind of idea of, you know, romantic relationships. And I mean, that's cute in theory, but it's, you know, it's not real life. You know what I mean? Because if you kind of, you know, like the person doesn't come to the graduation and you just like pull back all communication because it's like, he should know I'm upset because he didn't go to my sister's graduation, and you're expecting like, you know, him to do all the stuff, all the things in the rain and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And they don't do it, then it's like, you know, you're like, oh, they never really cared about me. And like, this is over, da, 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 da. And then if the person were to like reach out and you're just like, you know, don't talk to me, whatever, you know. But I feel in a sense of this, it's kind of the potential to go into kind of like a spiral, you know what I mean? Because of this whole misunderstanding thing. So I hope and pray that that makes sense. So, my hair, sorry. Anywho, now going into your person's energy, the first card that we have is the Nine of Wands in the reverse. And then we have the Knight of Swords in the reverse. I have no idea why it is that I'm even saying this like that. I have no idea. And the next card we have, oh, interesting, is the Fool in the reverse. So I can tell you with your person for sure, and this can kind of go two ways, Gemini. They definitely have a fear of vulnerability. I can tell you that straight up, like out the gate. You know what I mean? They have a fear of vulnerability and they suck at communication. And the real deal about this fear of vulnerability is this Fool in the reverse. So it's more or less like a fear of fully opening up one's heart. You know what I'm saying? And where this kind of goes back to, because anytime I do love readings, there's always like this mirroring type of deal that's happening. Whenever, and that would even take me back to this Knight of Cups in the reverse, whenever we are attracted to or draw in people who are emotionally unavailable, it's like us on some level or another are emotionally unavailable, right? So if we go back to this whole rom-com idea of romantic relationships and partnerships and stuff like that, that's like a fantasy that has a lot to do with just external. You know what I mean? It's like what stuff looks like, or what, you know, you feel a person should do or whatever, but it's not really taking into account like those deeper implications of, you know, communicating or trust or mutual respect, or like what love really is outside of just, you know, external types of gestures. It's like really having a true bond, which is all of this stuff that this person is terrified of. Vulnerability, you know what I mean? It's like when we think about the rom-com type of love, that would be a relationship that's completely devoid of vulnerability, because it's just, you know, romanticized, you know, over exaggerated gestures, you know what I mean? So in some sense or another, you know what I mean, I feel with this, and like I'm saying it this way because this person, they, like I said, they suck at communication. They don't necessarily like to be controlled. You know what I'm saying? I can also see on the other side, looking at Gemini, I can see how, and this is me saying this objectively, I can see how Gemini's behaviors could come off as potentially controlling, right? But then you look at this person and it's like them being afraid of opening up because it's like there's a fear of being controlled, and them kind of keeping their thoughts to themselves in a sense. Like it's not a person who's very communicative type of deal, you know what I'm saying? And not wanting someone to hold, like, you know, the reins on them. And then I'm paying attention to the fact that these two cards that are falling underneath each other, that this is the Knight of Cups in the reverse, and right underneath that for them, which is you guys present energy, is another Knight card, that of which is swords. You know what I mean? So, and me just kind of picking this up, it's almost like emotionally there's a lack there of a vulnerability on Gemini's side too, you know what I'm saying? To where it's like there's a lack of, gosh, this is going to end up getting super deep, dude. There's like a lack thereof of self-nurturing, self-love, self-compassion on Gemini's side. And there's this misunderstanding that a person that you're connected with is supposed to do that for you. And that's like why I'm getting this dependence kind of vibe with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, because it's almost like, and that would technically be codependency, dude, because it's kind of like the big misunderstanding on Gemini's side would be that, you know, there's a desire for a relationship and a partnership and want to, you know, work with a person towards, you know, commitment, marriage, whatever the case, right? But there's this expectation with Gemini, and that's the thing that needs to come to the surface. It's like a codependency, because what you're looking for in a partnership, or what you're looking for in a person, what you're looking for is not something that would be healthy for you, but it's almost like what you're looking for is like, and I just have to use the terms to make this make sense, Gemini. If we were to just call it codependency, right? It's like those gestures, those standards, those expectations that you have of a partner, right? That's really codependency in real life, right? So it's like looking for validation from the person. So the reason why you would feel unfulfilled, or like if we were to say like focusing on yourself or self-care or whatever, it's like, and this is all like a subconscious kind of thing, because it's like a belief. So not saying you're thinking about this like all day long in your conscious mind or anything, but it's almost like this thought of like, if a person really loves me, they're going to want to be with me all day. They would call out of work to go to my sister's graduation. They would want to spend all of their time with me. They would consistently tell me like how beautiful and how amazing I am, and you know, always like sweeping me off of my feet. And if I ran off and said, I don't want to talk, then they would come back and they wouldn't get, it's like all of this stuff. But the truth is, and this is like, from my perspective, literally as a therapist, if a person were to behave that way, I would be mortified by that, because I'd be like, that's not a good sign. It's like, though, like that pathology of a person who would behave that way, that's someone who is, you know, clingy, could potentially be manipulative and controlling, could potentially be love bombing you. Like, those are red flags. You feel what I'm saying? But it's almost like your perception of love is something that isn't healthy, if that's making sense. But it's like, why one would, like, if we were to speak in the sense of, and I'm not saying this is literally what it is, but if I were to stay in the vein of this being codependency, right? There's a level of avoidance in codependency where how it is that you're relating to your partner isn't based on, you know, two whole humans coming together with, you know, mutual trust and respect, you know, emotional vulnerability, intimacy, which is like, you know, the foundation of a relationship. It's like coming at it from a superficial sense, because it's like a desire for this person to play this particular role, because the belief is if this person plays this role, then that's what love is, but it's technically not, right? So then when we're looking at this person who fears vulnerability, who's afraid of opening up fully, you may not really know what's in their headspace, because the thing for them is, they don't want to. So child, look, and Spirit been talking to me all week about attachment styles and everything. Like, your person would literally have like an avoidant kind of attachment style, to where there's an aura of mystery about this person, to where you never know what they're thinking, you never really know what they're feeling, you don't really know what's going on with them, which again is the misunderstanding, because Gemini would make it up in their mind of what it is that's happening in this connection, because you have no idea where this person's head is at. But then that still goes back to, you know, if we have a little bit of codependency here, or even if your attachment style is, you know, like anxious, ambivalent, you know, where you're like really skittish. And the reason why you would want a person to be around all the time, and that, well, I mean, yeah, that would literally be anxious ambivalence. That would be that attachment style. And I mean, people who are anxious ambivalent always end up with people who are avoidant. That's like a thing. Like, majority of the whole population are in relationships like that, but that's neither here nor there. So literally, if we were to say, I love how this just became like a tarot therapy reading anyway, but if we were to say, if like Gemini is like anxious avoidant, I mean, anxious ambivalent, right? Which means that like at the first sign of potential abandonment, or a person doesn't do something that you expect, it's like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna leave. I knew that this wasn't it, da 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 da, right? And with this person, they're avoidant because they're terrified of relying on someone or depending on someone, because you know with the attachment style, all goes back to childhood, because they had inconsistent parents and they had to learn how to self-soothe and blah 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 blah. But it's like, with you not knowing what this person is thinking, it's always kind of like this reactionary type of deal. You know what I'm saying? And this person is like in self-protect mode. But for me, being on the outside looking in, these are two sides of one coin. You feel what I'm saying? So the whole thing that I would say with this Gemini is, whether you stuck with this person, or if you went into another connection, it's like you realizing this about yourself is of utmost importance, whether, you know, you stick with this person or you go into another connection, because it would just continue to, oh, wow. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Chariot, and that's Cancerian energy. But whatever the case, I'm going to pull some of these. That's very interesting. Because I can look at this Chariot in two ways here, which is exactly what I was saying. Whether it is you decided to stick with this person, because, you know, I don't know your life and I ain't about to tell you who you should or shouldn't be with. But if you decided to stick it out with this person, the whole key is it's about you being on one accord. You know what I'm saying? So, and once again, I mean, it's not like this person's narcissistic or something. It's like y'all just have two different attachment styles. So if, when you know what your attachment style is, like, you can work around that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you learn about your style, whatever it is. When you learn about your style, you know what your trigger points are, why you behave in certain ways, why, you interpret things in certain ways, and if your partner would be open to it and they learned about theirs, then the two of you would be able to come together and work the relationship out and positively move forward with the Chariot. But then I also say on the other side of it, if this person would not be interested in such a thing, and even if you didn't deal with this person and you guys ended up in, like another relationship with another person in the future, it would behoove you to recognize this in yourself so you never replicate this again with someone else. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to pull some of these cards to get some additional clarity for you guys. This is interesting. I did not expect this to go this way. This is very fascinating, but it's in alignment because I thought it was the weirdest thing this entire week. Like one day I woke up and like Spirit just kept talking to me about attachment styles. And I was like, attachment styles? Are we talking about John Bowlby right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? And the more that I thought about it, I just had this whole epiphany where I realized like, even like people I watch on YouTube and everything I was seeing, it was like all of a sudden everything clicked. And I was like, holy shit, a lot of people are speaking through their attachment styles and they're creating standards and expectations based on their attachment styles. And some of these attachment styles are extremely dysfunctional. You know what I'm saying? So it's like creating a whole ethos and teaching people how to be and saying like, this is the standard. And it's like, you shouldn't be this type of woman, or you shouldn't be this type of man. You should be this type of woman or this type of man. But the standard that's created is based on like, say, if we were to say hypothetically, like avoidant attachment style, it's like avoidant attachment style is a person who was, emotionally neglected by their parents. And they, like I said, had to learn how to self-soothe, take care of themselves, and don't necessarily rely on people, don't particularly care for commitment. And you have people like that who grow up, find a little bit about Buddhism, and start thinking like, oh, this is non-attachment. You know what I'm saying? And start teaching people like, this is how you, step into non-attachment. That is not at all what non-attachment is. That's an avoidant attachment style. But it's like creating this standard for people and like teaching people to be avoidant, which is, that's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's interesting for that to come up in you guys reading. Why do I feel like I was going to pick these as like clarifiers, but why do I feel like I should do this as like a pick a card though? Like, I think I should. So let's do a pick a card. Because I feel two totally different like energies here, I'll let this be you guys' message in reference to it. So go ahead and pick number 1, 2, or 3 in reference to your connection. 1, 2, or 3. One, 2. Oh, there we go. That's 3. 3. Okay, so if you picked number 1, didn't I say karmic-y? If you pick number 1, we have karmic relationship, fleeting triggers, turmoil, resentment, lessons, letting go, and loving you. So legit group number 1, I was saying that at the very beginning, I look at the 7 of Pentacles in this particular card as like a karmic-y soul tie type of thing going on. And that would also go into like the whole mirroring effect that I was seeing. So literally you guys are 2 sides of one coin. And a lot of this, which is why this whole thing of a lesson coming up, it's like your connection with this person, the whole premise of it was for you to learn a very valuable lesson about yourself and for this thing that you've been doing to come to the surface. So it's in your awareness so you can have power and dominion over changing it. Now, if you picked number 2, Jesus, we have stabbed in the back, heartbreak, pain, separation, deception, shocking attack. Good Lord, why are these cards just so Jesus? That's a lot going on. But I literally feel just like with the spear card, wow, yeah, spear, heartache over what you no longer have. I feel kind of what I was picking up in the reading. My group 2 people can literally feel stabbed in the back. It's like, because of this whole misunderstanding, miscommunication, this person not opening up, or, you know, falling into what, you know, you expected them to do or whatever. It's like almost kind of feeling like the rug got pulled from under you. Like, I thought this person was so different. The audacity of you, you know what I'm saying? That kind of, you know, vibe, you know what I'm saying? So not necessarily so much in the sense of this person, because like I said, with this person, y'all know, if I had narcissistic vibes up in here, child, look, you know, I would tell you. But the thing I'm seeing with this, it's two sides of one coin. Like, I literally feel like both of you may have similar backgrounds and struggle like with the same thing. It's just the way that you guys are approaching it is different. You know what I'm saying? But I feel my group 2 people may literally feel a sense of betrayal or like stabbed in the back, like I thought they were different type of deal. When in actuality, like this person, they're just, you know, touch and go. And like I say, you have to make a decision on if you want to deal with somebody like that or not. Now, if you picked group 3, we have healthy choices, making healthy choices in love and in life, self-love, self-care, and being happier. And I totally agree with that. Looking at this Knight of Cups in the reverse, in the upright, this card would be all about self-love. It's like how you magnetize and draw in a partner, because we could do it both ways. But the ideal way to magnetize and draw in a partner is by you loving yourself the way that you desire for another person to love you, as opposed to you not loving yourself until another person loves you, right? It's like having low self-esteem or low self-confidence, or feeling like you're not good enough unless you're in a relationship, or if you're in a relationship with a person who's doing all of those rom-com gestures, that's what makes you feel a sense of worth and value. It's like that would be temporary. Like, that's not real self-worth and value. Like, real self-worth and value comes from the self. That's something that you cultivate within yourself. And the most idealistic relationship is a person who loves you, right? The way that you love yourself. So it's like, it's a complement to your lifestyle. And there's not necessarily a need or a requirement for a person to, you know, bend over backwards doing all of this stuff to validate you, because you're already validated. So I feel for my group 3 people, and especially with this saying being happier and looking at this happiness, I literally feel what the key for group 3 would be as far as happiness is concerned is doing that self-work, cultivating your self-love, not looking to another person, like identifying the elements in you that fall into codependency, recognizing that within yourself and doing work on that, like identifying it, you know what I'm saying? And starting to make steps in the direction of curating self-compassion within yourself. And that's going to change the type of people that you're going to be attracted to in your perception of what love relationships look like. You know what I'm saying? And even in reference to this person, it's like, if you're looking at, like, if this person just stayed in this whole shutdown mode, it's like, it wouldn't be a healthy choice to even stick with the person, because there's a lack thereof of reciprocity or reciprocation, which is why I say it really depends on, with the person that you guys are dealing with, if you can have a conversation with them and they're open to it. And it's like, whoa, like if y'all both watch a video on attachment styles and they're like, oh, wow, I'm totally avoidant. And it's like, well, damn, is that what's going on between us? Like, I don't want it to be like that. Like, what can we do to fix that? Like, if they're in that type of mentality, then that's a positive sign. But if the person is just like, oh no, I had no problems, just you, you know, then that would not be a healthy choice to stick with a person like that. But all in all, I feel for all 3 groups, the whole premise is, regardless of what's going on with your person, this still comes back to you, you know? And it's like, I feel for some of you, depending on the type of person that you're dealing with, there can be happiness if both of you, like with this Chariot, are on one accord and you understand the differences that you guys have, and you're not forcing each other to be the way the other one is. Like the avoidant person saying, you know what, you need to be more avoidant, or, you know, the ambivalent person being like, no, you need to be more ambivalent. You know what I'm saying? It's like recognizing, okay, wow, we're adults now. This is what our attachment styles are. Let's learn as much as we can about it to understand what the trigger points are for each other. And like, let's work together, understanding, our shortcomings, which I think that is a healthy choice in a relationship. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I hope this has helped, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.